Good morning, YouTube. Circumstances dictate that for a period of time, my boyfriend and I, who are generally locked at the hip, even though we live separately, we text frequently, spend weekends together, and I highly rely on his companionship. Is your world a world that consists of solely your partner? You need to expand that out. Your partner cannot be your everything. Do you have just one friend that you rely on for every ounce of emotional support, fun, adventure, human interaction? You need to expand that out. No one person can shoulder the burden of the entire constellation of different types of experiences and wisdom and interaction and mentorship and support and fun and sharing and caring and doing and being that a person needs in their life. Unless you are a lone wolf who prefers to be alone. And you are typical of most humans because we're herd creatures that has a support network. Try to expand your support network beyond the bubble of one particular individual. It's an unfair strain to expect to have all of your needs met, all of your social and emotional other person needs met by one particular individual. So due to current circumstances, I am going to be out of contact with my partner for a period of time. This actually should be and could be, depending on how I handle it, good for my own emotional well-being. It allows me to reconnect with myself. When we get overly connected, overly involved, enveloped, and lose ourselves in a particular relationship, could be a best friendship, could be a weird dynamic with your parents or a family member, it could be with your spouse or partner. That's the typical one where you become enmeshed and you lose your own identity, or living through your children, you lose your own identity within the context of the relationship. And I've gone through so many changes with my identity over the last couple of years. My mental health, my physical health have caused me to have to redraw the lines of who I am and what I do and don't do and what I like, what I get up to, repeatedly, to where I am now back to rather a blank slate. And most of my energies are dedicated toward my relationship. And it's an unfair expectation to put a herd burden on one individual. It's also an unhealthy expectation to subsume yourself in a relationship to the point where you lose yourself. So having a bit of healthy distance from my partner is actually a good thing for me at this juncture. And this also brings me to the point of talking about dependent personality disorder. Especially people who have been severely ill as children, who were needing of care 24/7, requirement, reassurance, multiple surgeries, severe disability as children, and they don't feel secure in their own decision making, or were highly traumatized, neglected, and abused as children, have insecure attachment styles, and often end up with some type of personality disorder. One of those can be dependent personality disorder. A dependent personality, again, to make it easier on myself, I'm going to flip through here. Difficulty making decisions without the input or presence of others. Being overly passive or submissive. A person doesn't feel confident and competent in their own capacity to make decisions for their lives. They need excessive input from other people. They're overly passive and submissive because they don't feel confident in themselves to take care of themselves and trust themselves and be independent. They are often, ironically, very isolated because of their character style and clingy to the few people that they have, that they are so desperate to have someone to help them get through this life that they don't trust they can get through, that they will pick up the scraps. They will take abusive behavior. They will take maltreatment. They will take extraordinary circumstances and live with them in order to not be alone. An inability to disagree or argue with others, again, pretty much the same token. They don't believe in themselves enough to have a share a voice. They don't know what boundaries are or what their voice is. They may not know what they think or what they feel about life, about different things. They may not know where boundaries are. They may not know what okay behavior is. And so they rely on the expression from the other person to dictate what's acceptable, rather than knowing what's acceptable and laying those boundaries down. Because they literally don't know what's acceptable, and they're terrified of this person leaving them to their own devices because they're certain in their inability to be able to care for themselves. Allowing or preferring other people to handle your personal business. Extreme fears of abandonment, even especially by loved ones. Intense sadness and lethargy when a loved one leaves or after a breakup. A willingness to do anything in your power, including putting up with abuse or mistreatment, doing dangerous or legal things to please valued people and keep them near you, because this person is so severely damaged that they honestly do not believe they have the faculties to care for themselves, to provide for their basic needs. It is a matter of survival. Like a helpless infant cannot feed or fend for themselves. In this adult world, they feel completely incompetent, incapable, practically, literally. Sometimes their circumstances dictate, their physical or mental health dictates. They have deficiencies. They may not be able, they may need to practically and financially and otherwise depend on other people. And they certainly don't believe they have the faculties to do it themselves. And so they are willing to bend their own morals in order not to upset other people, sometimes to terrifying degrees. Having trouble starting projects or doing things alone. Undirected, undifferentiated sense of self, fragmented and broken sense of self, familiarity with being told what to do, who to be, how to be, and jumping when others say jump. You say how high? Do that long enough. When others are gone and you're left to your own devices, you don't know what to tell yourself to do, who to be, or what to be or what to do with yourself. You don't know how to jump.